me?
Yep, got you.
I want to explain something.
Are we recording?
With this being
Yep, we're recording.
Mental Health Awareness Month, about the information that I recently put out to my viewers.
Yeah.
I must have snagged a hard place on an individual that I growed up with. Used to haul hay. Matter of fact, this place right here used to be the old, go ahead and turn your camera that way. Used to be the old Dan Simmons place that had a barn back in there. And I remember as a child, I probably wasn't but about 10 years old, hauling hay. Somebody got ill at me and decided to chunk a 100-pound bale of hay at me, with me barely weighing 65 pounds soaking wet, and wound up breaking my left arm. So I've got quite a few childhood memories around in this area. Some of them are good and some of them are bad. But you know, whenever you touch off on something and somebody texts you back after them not responding to any of your texts for the past year and a half, that you're bound to have touched off on a sore spot for some reason about the mental health issues. This individual right here, whenever I first moved here, was dogging me down towards shooting a gun over my head every time I drive by his house right here.
Yeah.
And supposedly an O'Brien cop told me that it was my fault because I was driving down the road. Well, I thought that was the reason why I pay taxes. It's so that I have a right to be able to drive down the road.
Safely.
Huh?
Safely.
Yeah, for safety.
No, safely.
Yeah, safety.
Not with jackasses sticking their heads out, just firing off fire weapons.
Right. Just shooting to be intimidating you.
Yeah.
But anyways, come down here to the old McRae farm on the very end. Once more, had many summers of hauling hay in a barn that probably got as hot as 130, 140 degrees. Summer after summer after summer towards helping put up hay and helping do stuff around the farm. I can see right now, turn your camera, I can see right now they're over there farming, planting that over there, the old MacDonald Place.
Yeah, got the cedar.
Down there in the field. I don't know who farms this, but this is the old MacDonald Place right here.
Yeah, I already showed it.
Okay. Anyways, whenever I put that information out this morning, I wasn't expecting for somebody to get ill at me and document me back. Right here. Turn your camera this way.
Document you back.
This way. Wasn't expecting for a person to get mad to the point of texting me and telling me that for me not to text him back ever again. Well, this is the very person that broke my arm hauling hay. These are the people that have been resentful towards me coming back here, and it's been the very reason why that I haven't been welcome at the Alamo Baptist Church, because I'm pretty sure this individual has something to do with the church other than just with the cemetery and the cemetery arrangements. So I let him know this morning after he texted me that text. I let him know this morning, you know, all these people around here that was 7, 8, 10, 15, 20 years older than me. I'm now 60. All these people around here that knew about the brutality behavior coming from my father because of him taking advantage of his family, that none of them around here wanted to step in to do anything about, and probably was entertained by the idea towards us getting abused by our Father, these people is going to have to give an account for this one day in the great white throne judgment. Now they think, because time has went by and they burn up a great deal of brain cells by doing whatever,
Right.
they think that they're not going to be held accountable. They know how I feel, these older people. They know how I feel about what went on, and still to this day, none of them is willing to make any type of recompense. None of them is willing to knock on my door and say, well, Juby, what do you think we could have done during that time? Or we're sorry that those things happened to you. We knew that y'all was being mistreated, but there wasn't nothing that we could do about it. You know, the bottom line, the fact of the matter is, turn your camera again right here. I got probably almost all my people that's either buried here or buried in Primitive Baptist Church not far from here, the Old Heart Shell Baptist Church. And every one of these people is going to have a testimony. Every one of these people is going to have a story. And every one of these people are going to have to give an account for what that they either done or they didn't do that they should have done. Including me. Including myself.
When that day comes.
Whenever that day comes. Now, they use the concept around here, well, we was always taught not to interfere in other people's business. Or they used another concept of, well, we wasn't going to get our head knocked off by speaking against your father because we know how abusive that he was. Well, the fact of the matter is, in 1983, instead of me being the one that went to Bolivar because I was seeking refuge from the authorities after he attacked me, instead of me being the one that got psychoanalyzed, it should have been my father. And everybody that's within 7 to 25 years older than me that's still living in this area knows it to be so. And I don't mean to be stomping on somebody's grave pertaining to my dad, but my dad had bad problems whenever it come to flying off the handle and beating his family. And the thing about it was, he didn't do it in behind doors. He done it in front of God and everybody. He didn't try to hide nothing pertaining to his ill will. He had a problem. He was sick. He had post-traumatic stress syndrome that at that time they didn't even have labeled, but maybe having it touched off on as being shell-shocked or something like that. But for the individual that I've been texting, for him to hide like the ostrich hiding his head, and then all of a sudden I put something out there pertaining to Mental Health Awareness Month, for him to text me back just speaks volumes about this individual that was a great deal or a part of my testimony or my story that one day we'll both stand in front of God to give an account for. Like you said, back then it was more acceptable in various cells, communities throughout the United States, those that was still primitive or hadn't come around full circle towards what kind of damage that it does do whenever you whip and beat up on somebody and try to force them to do something that they really didn't want to do to begin with.
Well, because your children's faces ain't black don't mean that they weren't slaves.
That's right. We was not only slaves to our father, but we was basically his source of income, and we was his
kicking toys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It happens. I mean, it happened up north. It happens almost every setting, every setting in the city you go to.
Well, like you was talking about a while ago, you know, the gay community in San Francisco, if you was a teacher and a cross-dresser on the weekends, they would probably embrace that. and say, well, this is normal.
They wouldn't care.
They wouldn't care. But now if you was to take that same individual and bring them to Tennessee, that was a cross-dresser, they'd probably try to run them plumb out of the neighborhood.
Yep.
Just like out in California back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they'd already come around towards evolving and understanding that beating your kids was not the proper way of disciplining them every time. Now, there's no doubt, sometimes they need a good old-fashioned spatting.
Yeah. Something to get their attention.
Something to get their attention. But you just don't beat them and beat them and beat them and keep beating them and do it in front of
the others.
Do it in front of everybody to the point of embarrassing them that way. Because I know for a fact there's an individual that's an auctioneer that beat his son, and his son went the following afternoon and got a rope and hung himself and left a suicide note telling him why he hung himself.
He felt shame.
That's right.
Yeah.
There is such thing as psychological damage.
Oh yeah. Prolonged psychological damage.
That's right. And these people around here that was raised up primitive, I pity them. I pray for them. I feel sorry for them. I really do. But I'm telling them, one day, there's going to be a reckoning whenever we all stand in front of that big desk, and they're going to have to give an account.
They will. They'll have to. Doesn't make a difference. Even if they know it or not know it. They follow religion, they know what's coming.
See, that's another thing. You know, these are the same people that went to church basically almost all their lives, that fed it down our throats about Christianity. I always thought that it was part of the responsibility from the Christians that if you've seen something like this happening,
you don't turn a blind eye, you do something about it.
Right, you don't turn a blind eye. You be that good Samaritan. And even though they may not have been able to have attacked or stopped my father directly, they could always pick up that phone and call the sheriff.
Sure. Or they could have got enough of the elders or other congregationals and say 5 or 6 men. Let's come to him with this.
Yeah.
Right's right, wrong is wrong. And just stick to that.
But now since time has went by, they're mad at me because I bring this up.
Because they weren't sensitive enough before.
Well, the thing about it is, ain't none of them man enough to admit that what went on back then.
Well, no, they don't want to admit that.
Was just as much their fault, if not more their fault. Because if my father was sick, that must have meant that they was either sicker or they encouraged him.
Sure.
One way or the other.
Now, see, but they didn't know any different because their parents did it to them.
Probably.
To some degree.
Probably.
But, oh, well, you know what? He probably had it coming. That kind of stupid mentality.
Right.
That's the wrong. And that's where most of them go.
Yep. They pass it down from one generation to another generation.
Sure.
To another generation.
Sure.
Here I come along. I'm trying to stop it because I realize what kind of damage that it does to children whenever they get psychologically as well as physically abused out in the eyes of the general public. I'm trying to stop it, and all of a sudden I'm the bad guy.
Oh yeah.
I'm the bad news bearer.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm trying to
stop
to get them in line.
That everybody has been doing for years.
Yeah.
And you're trying to stop it.
Or the courts has been allowing for it to happen. Or the courts in this county has been allowing for it to happen.
Of course. They allow it to happen because, hey, a parent, who's going to stop between a parent and discipline their kids?
Right.
Who else can? Nobody.
You ain't going to tell me how to run my family.
Yeah, and most of them are going to take that stance. And they do. Sometimes the kids end up dying from it.
Well, if they don't die physically, they die emotionally.
Both ways.
They wind up with deep scars to the point that
they kill themselves.
Probably. Either that or they resort to drugs. That way they can out of sight, out of mind thing.
That's coping. Yeah.
Coping with it the best way that they can.
That's their coping mechanism.
Yep.
Or they become a drunk.
That's what my brother done. My brother become a drunk
Yeah.
And the very thing that he
Yeah,
thought.
but you know what, David, he followed along in suit because what other examples did he have?
That's it.
That was the normal way of life.
That was it.
This is what we do.
But
You get to a certain age, then you can drink. Oh, we can drink? Okay, you can drink in excess. Oh, just like Dad. Oh, okay, great.
Right.
Just following in footsteps that he didn't even know he had.
That way, if I get out here and I make a fool of myself, I'll have a crutch that I can lean on. Oh, he wouldn't have done that if he wasn't drinking.
The same crutch that his father used.
Oh, he wouldn't have done that if he wasn't drinking.
Oh, yeah.
So that makes it right?
Oh.
Because he was drinking? It's a very, very piss poor mentality. It's a piss poor mentality. That's all I got to say.
Reason why they should have stopped him.
Exactly. If my father did drink, he would have killed one of us. He didn't drink. I mean, maybe every now and then drink a half a beer or a beer, something like that. But he didn't. He wasn't a drunk. If he was, he would have killed us.
Yep.
He'd have killed one of us. Or if we would have had a sister, we'd have had a sister pertaining to his daughter.
Who knows what would have happened then?
Who knows what would happen then?
Yeah.
Bunch of sickos that need deliverance, and I continue to keep praying for them. Hey, you see this grass right here?
Yeah.
I got like 4 or 5 different types of grasses here.
Yeah.
Got clover, Bermuda, Johnson, crabgrass. But there's one type of grass that, man, if your blade ain't completely, totally sharp,
It don't cut it all the way.
it don't cut it all the way.
It's a weed.
You think so?
Yeah.
See how it lays it over?
They got more of a...
It don't really cut it. It lays it over as it's cutting it.
Yeah.
In other words, it ain't a clean cut.
Could be your blade.
Could be the blade. Could be the belt.
Could be the blade.
Belt may be slipping.
Maybe.
Could be.
Yeah, not really.
But anyways,
Not
we're
when
through
you-
talking about all
Not when your
this.
foot's down on it.
But anyways, we're through talking about all this.